welcome back, and we're now going to go into big picture lesson number 4, and the title of this one is, are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? And there's a very big difference. As you all know, for some of you who have been around me, I talk about winners and losers. And some of the biggest losers on earth are the people who play not to lose, so they lose. And we're going to go into that. So, quick review again. There's academic education, professional education, financial education. So we're going into financial IQ. And there's one thing essential to financial intelligence that's crucial, that is so different than these guys here. It is opposite. And one of the most important parts of financial IQ is a thing called emotional IQ. In other words, to be good at finance, you have to be good at your control of your emotions. And there's 2 basic emotions in the world of business, lots of them in financial, but number 1 is fear. And my rich dad would always say to me, he says, how can you learn anything if you don't make mistakes? And so one of the biggest differences between, I see, at my age right now, I see my friends, some of them falling behind them and made all this because they've stopped learning. They've done all the right things, but they've not done enough wrong things. They haven't made enough mistakes. They haven't failed. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah. Or looking at it another way, this is greed here. This is my golf club. And it says bazooka on it. And you pull this out, and there it is, this whopper of a club. And when I go out to the driving range, and I'm over, this is the only club in the whole bag as far as I come over there, as hard as I can. That's greed. Guys got that? How many people know greedy people who went broke? Yes. And that's one fear that gets you. But this is, for most of the other population, the timid, smart guys, oh, don't take any risk, play it safe. So this, like, they're playing the game of golf going like this. This is fear. The reality is you have to know when to use which club. Does that make sense, you guys here? Yeah. Warren Buffett says, be fearful when everybody's brave, and be brave when everybody else is fearful. Another thing Warren Buffett says is if you can't control your emotions, you can't control your money. So lesson number 4 is about part of the big picture is how do you control your emotions. And the reason I say that is this, is because when you meet financial experts, they're only dealing on 2 areas. Most of them it's fear. Either, oh, you'll make a lot of money if you buy this stock. And then, oh, well, how many people have heard this one recently? Real estate never goes down in price. How many people heard that one? I mean, how stupid are you to believe that bunch of what? Oh, it is not going to go down? Well, let me break out the big bazooka here. I'm just going to bet everything. Or the .com era, don't worry, there's no earnings, there's no company, but I'm going to make a lot of money on the .com, like this stuff. That's when greed gets people. And then what happens is Chicken Littles come out, they're going through life like this. They see their friends getting rich, and as the market climbs, they see all their friends getting rich. Suddenly they shift from this to this. They got into the .com boom in the year 2000. And they start swinging with this, and then the market crashes. Just like in real estate, all this little Chicken Littles, they should have got into the real estate market in 1995 when it was really bad, but they wait till 2005, then they haul this thing out, And they're the ones now with negative mortgages and all that stuff. They're upside down, the value of the house has dropped, because they're just morons. And the reason they're morons is not because they're not academically smart or professionally smart. They've failed to understand a fundamental tenet of financial education or financial IQ is the control of your emotions over here, okay? And so this is one of my favorite masks. I'll turn around. These are most financial planners. You've got to play it safe. Things are really dangerous out there. You should buy a well-diversified portfolio. of stocks and bonds and savings. You want to hold 20% in savings, 15% in this. You want some international funds, but it's spooky out there. It's really fearful, so trust me. Or the real estate broker who goes, hey, this house is $1 million, it'll be $2 million next year. You know, you don't want to miss out. You'll never get it at this price again. So many of the salespeople, you know, the brokers, the reason they're called brokers is because they're broker than you are. Stock brokers, mutual fund brokers, real estate brokers, insurance brokers, is they're trading on fear. And fear is caused by lack of knowledge. Does that make sense, you guys here? And the reality is when somebody says, oh, the market's going to crash, I go, that's great news. I'm going to buy more. And so it's going to go up. Oh, that's good. I'm going to sell it. So I don't really care. If you know what you're doing, you don't have to be afraid of the boogeyman with the Lecter mask on, Hannibal Lecter. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, guys, here? You don't have to be afraid. So many of these guys are trading on this, which causes people to say, play it safe, don't make mistakes, and all this. And the problem is, if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn anything. And that's why so many people who are academically smart, professionally smart, don't do well here, because they don't make mistakes. And again, this is why the cone of learning is so important here, is simply because it's simulating the real thing before you go into it. If you just read books or listen to lectures, you're not going to get there. That makes sense, you guys here? And the reason we have group discussions over here is because you listen to different points of view. Hopefully you listen to people who are successful. Most people are taking financial advice from salespeople, not rich people. Or they're taking advice from unsuccessful people like, oh, don't do that. A friend of mine tried that last week and he lost all his money, so don't do that. Right? Am I correct here? Yeah. And so the reason you want financial IQ is so you can keep in control your emotional IQ. Does that make sense, you guys here? Yeah. But the two basic ones are greed and fear. And if you can control those two, you're okay. Now, there's one more emotion that is essential. Is what happens when you lose. Because sometimes you will lose out there. As I wrote about, Donald Trump went down $1 billion. I went down $1 million, not quite. Okay? And I was talking to Donald about this. He says the tragedy is, he says that when he had so many rich friends who lost everything, they never came back. And the reason for that is they had never lost before. They didn't know how to handle losing. And the reason people don't know how to handle losing is because they think failing is that you made a mistake. When you have an opportunity to learn something from your mistake. So when he and I were talking one day, when I lost my nylon and Velcro wallet company, it was the most horrible day in my life. It was also the what? Best day of my life. I learned more rebuilding that company. Now I lost it again, but I learned more again. And one of the biggest mistakes that smart people, A students, make from academia is they actually think making mistakes is failing, when really it's on the edge of learning. That makes sense, you guys here? Yeah. So that's why you want to play this cash flow game more than 10 times. You want to just keep playing it. You want to teach other people. Because the more you teach, the more you play, the more you learn. Then you can be more successful out here, because sometimes you win in the game, sometimes you lose in the game. So one of the main reasons people cannot win is because they're so afraid of losing that they play not to lose, and they become the biggest losers of all, investing in the worst possible investments of all, which are savings and mutual funds. Savings and mutual funds are for people who are afraid of losing. And they lose. They pick them apart. They can pay excessively high fees. Inflation rips them to shreds. So as we go on right now, this is the part I'm going to talk about. So part of the important part here of number 4 is learning how to control your emotions. So that's why we have, each cash flow club has here the E Cash Flow 101 game. So to graduate on to out of 4, you take the Rich Dad Challenge. You challenge 3 other clubs. So one person from each club and you, so there's 4 players, and you play. There will be 3 losers and 1 winner. That's the way life is. You either win or you lose. And losing should be a good thing. You go, oh my God, what do I need to learn? The good thing is you'll have, again, your participation in a group. If you lose, you have your club there to support you, say, well, you should have done, you do it. And that's how you learn. That's how you win. You come back, you want to fight harder. You want to win harder. But you don't do the same old thing. Does that make sense, you guys here? So if you lose, you're going to have 3 losers and 1 winner. And just keep playing until you become the winner. That will teach you more about the real game, which is a simulation, before you do the real thing. One of the reasons I get upset with people who sell investments inside a cash flow game is because they're preying upon your lack of knowledge and say, here's a cash flow deal. You don't know what a cash flow deal is yet. Just play this game. You don't know all the components that make up a good deal yet. And you just sit there and you buy and all this. Like I said, everybody has something to sell, I understand. I have something to sell. I sell my coaching programs and I sell my advanced education programs. But our programs are not to tell you what to invest in. Our programs are designed to teach you how to invest, so you can find your own deals. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to run into people who do this to you. Oh, it's risky, give me your money. Or, if you don't buy this, you'll miss out. Does that make sense, you guys here? Yeah, sure. And if you're not smart, you get sucked into this. Am I making sense? Okay? So, those are the important things. That's why the cone of learning, look like this came from this guy Dale, 1997, and the school systems totally miss it. They still think reading and writing, reading and listening is all you have to do. You still have to participate. So Rich Dad's challenge, step 4, is once you understand it, you learn how to play the E101 game, go online through the World Wide Web. You can find somebody in Europe, somebody in Japan, somebody in Hong Kong or Singapore or Australia, and somebody in Canada, and play. And play to win. Don't cheat, play by the rules, but play to what? Win. If you get your you-know-what kicked, say thank you. I'm going to learn something from this. Because that's how you learn. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah. Or you can be like, poor dad, don't make mistakes. Play it safe. Don't take risks. And go through life with a putter. And then what happens when the market goes up, you train your putter in for a bazooka. And then the market shifts on you. That's why people get killed. It's only greed or fear. Did that make sense, you guys here? So the thing I want to say here is this. This is my friend Joe Montana. He sent me this book. And I think he says it's on the 16 principles of winning. It's a great book. Please get it. I love reading this book. But he says something that is important. Because the guys I invest with, they have young boys who are playing Little League right now. I don't know if you know this, in some of the team sports now, they don't let kids lose. You know, they make everybody play. It's called Little League now. And what's happening is the good kids don't want to play Little League because they don't want to let the losers play. That's life. You know, all the socialists, commies out there, they want to make everybody happy. But he says that's not real life. So Joe Montana says this, as I have watched my own children compete in youth sports over the years, I have noticed a growing tendency to deliver pats on the heads to say, good job, everybody won today, and then to hand out participation ribbons to all who got out of bed and made it to the game. He says, that's not the way I was raised, and I don't dispense that message as my role as a parent. I think it's unfair for a parent to be an uncritical observer of a young person wanting to improve and play at a higher level. As a parent, you need not to just be a cheerleader, but a coach. And I believe it is wrong to tell the next generation that they can congratulate for simply showing up. Competitive sports are one of the best preparations for life, reflecting as they do the highly competitive nature of the world around us. I never wanted anyone on my team in sports or business who didn't passionately care about rising above the competition and winning. So I don't want anybody on my team who's not playing to win. I don't want anybody on my team who just wants a paycheck. I only want to hang out with people who want to win. I don't care if you make a mistake, but I want you to have the courage to admit you made a mistake. Don't be like Bill Clinton and say, I didn't have sex. You know? Or George Bush who says, I made mistakes, but I can't remember any. Iraq? Now, please hear me. It's a dysfunction of our school system where we punish people for making what? Mistakes. It is a dysfunction. That's why most school teachers aren't really that rich. It's because they're afraid of making mistakes. Psychologically, they're not playing to win. They're simply playing not to Lose. That was my poor dad. Get a job with the government and let them take care of you. If you read Trump's book and my book, we have this entitlement mentality. In my experience, the entitlement mentality starts in our school systems. Because school teachers have that entitlement mentality as a mass group. Some of them don't, obviously, but as a mass group, that's what it is. The government should take care of you and all this stuff. So this is the final words from Joe Montana. It says, if winning wasn't important, people wouldn't keep score. And this is where you keep score in the world of business. This is how I know. That's why my auditor is so important. I got to make sure I'm winning or losing. How am I doing? I'm going to change my play. He says, like it or not, we live in a world that keeps score. And that's why I started this whole thing. My banker doesn't ask me for my report card. My banker asks me for my what? Financial statement. And my banker wants to know, am I a winner or am I a loser? And that's the difference. Okay, so Rich Dad's Challenge, I highly recommend it. You can quit right here. You say, I've gone enough. I don't want to take this challenge and all this. I don't want to lose. What if I embarrass my team? That's all part of being on a team. Or you can sit around and eat beans and be a loser all by yourself. Am I making sense, you guys here? Yes. So one of the keys to emotional intelligence is handling greed, knowing when to be greedy, when not to be greedy, when to be fearful, when not to be fearful, and how to handle losing and handle winning. Is that clear, you guys here? It's called emotional intelligence, was a huge part of financial intelligence. If you're afraid of losing, if you don't want to take risks, savings and mutual funds are just for you. But they're the biggest loser investments going. Because it's hard to win when your banker and your mutual fund guys are taking most of the profits anyway. Guys got that? Yes. Okay, so take a moment to discuss. Again, discuss in a group. And then I'll ask you to agree with me, and then play the game, and then discuss again.